research, they invented the first alphabet. The Greeks got the alphabet from the Phoenicians. The Egyptians got the alphabet from the Phoenicians. And our modern day alphabet comes from the Phoenician alphabet. Well, I now know better. Actually, the Phoenician alphabet is nothing more than Hebrew. The Hebrews got their alphabet from who? From the Hebrews. Because before the Phoenicians were the Phoenicians, they were Hebrews. They just got a new Gentile identity once the Lord exiled them out of the Promised Land. But they had the same language still for such a long time. You look at the Phoenician alphabet, it is one and the same as the ancient Hebrew alphabet. They even have Phoenician manuscripts transliterated the Bible. Phoenician manuscripts, Phoenician writing was used to transliterate the Bible. It's the oldest manuscripts of the Bible we don't have, but we have some Phoenician manuscripts. And it's ancient Hebrew. So the one and the same. I'm going to click screen and hopefully they will appear. Okay, here we go. This website, Spain Then and Now. You can read the whole thing on your own time. SpainThenandNow.com/Spanish-history/Tartessus, and so on and so forth. Okay, it says here, the Greek tales of a kingdom blessed with fabulous wealth in the Western Mediterranean appear to be corroborated too by biblical references. Okay, so what I want to show you is historical stuff outside of biblical references that supports the idea that the ships of Tarshish are connected to Tyre and Sidon, which are Phoenician cities, and that Tarshish was a Phoenician city biblically, and exactly the location, even up to this very day, of Tarshish. Here we go. There are several mentions in the Old Testament of the city of Tarshish, which it has been argued is the Aramaic form of Tartessus. Although there is no unanimity in the identification, the reference, for example, in Ezekiel 27 verse 12 to the Phoenician city of Tyre receiving silver, iron, lead, and tin from Tarshish suggests that Tartessus and Tarshish were one and the same. Bingo, that's what I said in my first video. The southwestern part of the Iberian Peninsula was enormously rich in minerals, and Ezekiel's reference reflects a common association of the metal with the Western Mediterranean. See, people, I told you Joseph gets blessings of the deep that lieth under. I told you what's deeper than the ocean? Okay, so blessings of the ocean and blessings of mines. My tribe Joseph were miners. Okay, who are the miners of the earth? Basically white people, right? The mines are one of our blessings of the deep. You dig down very deep to get the rich materials out of mines. So it is my people who go into these mines. That is why the Phoenicians went into these mines. Okay? And Iberia is another word for Spain, and that comes from Eber, which was a forefather of the Hebrews. So Iberia is basically like saying Hebrew land, right? Yes, I know the Spaniards got a very short end of the stick in terms of their historical reputation, but so did the Hebrews. So, moving on. Tin came primarily from Cornwall in the British Isles and was brought back by the Phoenicians. It was combined with copper, abundant in southwest Spain, to produce bronze. The Rio Tinto mine just north of Huelva was first worked by the Phoenicians and still produces copper. People still produces copper. It is reputed to be the oldest mine in the world. Here's some interesting stuff right here. Coincidentally, there is a town named Tarshish 50 kilometers north of Huelva. The TH combination, however, is a linguistic curiosity and alien to the Spanish language. A possible explanation is the influence of British mining concerns, which owned the giant Rio Tinto company, with mines between Huelva and Tarshish in the 19th century. So a Spaniard would pronounce it with a dental T, Tarsis, sounding almost exactly the same as the word Tarshish from the Bible. I believe that this is where Tarshish was. Ships of Tarshish means ships of people who basically are of the same stock as the Spaniards. What stock are they? Your average white guy, okay, my people. And it talks here about Tartessus and the 20th century. You can read on. This place still exists. And here is a mine, the Spanish mine. Okay, I don't read or understand Spanish, but look, there's some English right here. See, right here. So, introduction to EMED Tartessus. This is the actual mine. Look, those dudes are the sons of Tarshish right there. Can you believe it? Just feast your eyes on those dudes and you know who's going to be on your ships of Tarshish. Do not be surprised, my friends, when the white guys are going to be picking you up and taking you into those safe places. So here we go. The Huelva Mining Valley is a region encompassing 7 different municipalities, historically and culturally linked to the Rio Tinto mining exploitation. And if anybody who's involved in precious metals investing knows that Rio Tinto is a very huge player in the mining side of things. The restart of the mine, see, restart of this ancient mine, they're restarting it. Truly, history is coming to life. The restart of the mine involves the economic revival of these 7 villages and the creation of new opportunities for a population of over 17,500 inhabitants. Here, see this little blue guy right here? That is the spot. That is the spot. Okay, they also have operations here. Somewhere here in, I don't know what country that is. And then they have operations here. Oh, an island of the sea. What island is that? That's the island called Cyprus. Phoenician operations were in Cyprus too. Okay, they believe it has a lot of potential still for copper, gold, sulfur, silver. This place is rich. And there you go. So the Bible says Tarshish was a place for mining. So now it still is. Rio Tinto mine. This is another website. Take a look at it. History. Look at this. The Phoenicians mined here, combining copper with tin from Cornwall to make bronze. The Romans preferred the silver, extracting from the 2nd century BC onwards. To combat flooding, a major risk in deep mining, then used norias, water wheels, to operate in pairs by slaves, raising water from 100 meters below ground. You can get an idea of what conditions were like in the museum, which has an excellent reconstruction of a Roman mine. Some even claim that these were the legendary mines of Solomon. Some even claim it's not so far-fetched, people. The scriptures clearly say that the ships of Tarshish brought mines for King Solomon to build the temple, and they brought timber from Lebanon. Okay, now it says, okay, I'm going to skip down to here. In 1954, the company was sold back to the Spanish owners, see Spaniards, and the Proyecto Rio Tinto is currently owned by EMED Mining Tartessus, who want to extract copper again, but the mine has been inactive since 2000, and the company is in negotiation with the government. However, various parts of the park are open to the public for guided tour trips. That's out-of-date information, because obviously I already showed you this website, which shows that they are up and running, baby. Okay, now here is that website that I told you about if you want to research ancient Phoenicia. Excellent website, phoenicia.org. Good stuff on history, archaeology. I mean, there's so many articles here. It references the Bible passages, but it really gives a lot. There's just so much to go into here with this website that there's no way I could go over it for you for very long. I want to show you something very significant called the Stele di Nora. This is it right here. A stele is basically like this piece of stone that has an inscription on it. You could see here, this is the ancient Phoenician script, which is one and the same as the Paleo-Hebrew or ancient Hebrew. And it comes from the Phoenician civilization. They found it in the island of Sardinia, which is off the coast of Italy. But this is written in Italian. I can pronounce Italian correctly, but I can't understand it. But I do see here, it says, Lo studioso ritiene che la stella testimoni le attività militari di Milcaton a Tarshish. Okay, so here they're talking about Tarshish, and tra Tarshish e Liberica Tarteso, meaning Spanish Tarteso, and they give the highlighted area here in southern Spain, that this was Tarshish. Now, what did it say on this famous Stele di Nora? Well, here it is. Here's another picture of it right here. And this is a website called linguasarda.com, and you can go back there if you want. I'm not going to read this whole thing. It talks about how to translate the Phoenician. And I just wanted to show you this because it talks about Tarshish on this Phoenician stele here. Okay, it gives a few of the words, and the word in Tarshish is there on this stele. It's a Phoenician thing. Okay, now here is another website with history on this issue. This is actually a Google book. I much prefer books in print because then it's yours and you can control it. Stuff on the internet, I'm always afraid, it's going to suddenly disappear forever. But here we go. Where was Tarshish? The biblical references to Tarshish are sufficiently vague as to have allowed for the most blah, 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 blah. Okay. Blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Skipping down. Tarshish is mentioned in connection with the Red Sea in several biblical passages. I read some of those passages in the last video. Okay, here we go. On the other hand, Tarshish appears frequently associated with other well-known places in the Mediterranean, such as Tyre, Kittim, or Cyprus, and Egypt, or among the sons of Yawan or Javan. In the so-called list of nations in Genesis 10:4, Tarshish is also mentioned as one of the members of the tribe of blah, 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 blah. Okay, yeah. Benjamin named his son, one of his sons, Tarshish, I believe. Okay, those who, I'm going to skip that. Some people think Tarshish is in India. I totally disagree with that. Still another epigraph document relatively recently brought to light. It is a Paleo-Hebrew text written on an ostrakon dated by its first publishers to the end of the 7th century BC on paleographical grounds. The text alludes to the collection of funds for the renovation of the Temple of Jerusalem, presumably under King Josiah, and reads as follows. As Josiah, the king, has ordered you to give into the hand of Zachariah the silver of Tarshish for the hand of YHWH. The expression silver of Tarshish on the one hand reminds one of the biblical references to Tarshish, where the name is associated in particular with the silver trade. On the other hand, we face the exact same problems as we did with the interpretation of biblical Tarshish. They think it's difficult to say where it is, talk about the inscription of Nora, talking about Tarshish, and they're talking about the silver of Tarshish. People, it's so obvious. It's a mining site. I've shown you the evidence already. It's in southern Spain. Tartessus. They even have a town nearby called Tarsus,